Hello and welcome to part 4 of my Project BC Max build. In this video we will be installing the bottom bracket for a GXP chainset. This is going to be an interim solution to get the bike up and running until I can find one of the 3 chainsets I'm eyeing up for the main build, but they're not available at the moment. So the first thing we need to do is ascertain the width for the bottom bracket. You can usually find this information buried on a spec sheet or measure it like I have. For threaded bottom brackets, this is either 68 or 73mm. I'm going to be installing this Nukeproof Horizon bottom bracket, basically because it was the only one I could find in stock. And because my bike has a 73mm bottom bracket width, I don't need these two 2.5mm spacers. I'm going to start by installing the non-drive side bottom bracket cup, but first we need to grease things up. This is particularly important on a steel frame because the steel and the aluminium bottom bracket cups can have some galvanic corrosion, so go mad with the grease, really lay it in there. And when handling this much grease, it's advisable to wear gloves, stops any dermatitis or weird things going on with your skin interacting with the grease. With that nice thick layer of grease laid in there and spread all around the threads, we can move on to installing the bottom bracket cups. Like I said previously, I'm going to be starting with the left hand bottom bracket cup. You can start with the left or right, it doesn't really matter on this type of bottom bracket. And on a GXP style bottom bracket, the right hand side has a 24mm hole for the axle, whereas the left is only 22. Also, to add another layer of confusion, the right hand side cup will have a left hand thread. With threaded bottom brackets, I always try to screw them in by hand as much as possible. Always start by hand. If it won't start by hand, you probably need to take your bike to the bike shop and have them chase out the thread with a thread tapping tool. Once the bottom bracket is fully engaged and threaded in as far as I can by hand, I then grab the bottom bracket tool and torque it down. I don't own a bottom bracket socket, so I have no way of correctly measuring the torque to get it up to. It should be between 35 to 50 Nm, which is quite a lot, it's most of your weight, so basically I set it home to FT. Before we install the right hand drive cup, we need to install the sleeve. This is to protect the bearings from the inside should you get water in your frame or dirt in your frame from doing a water splash or something like that. This simply slides into the BB cups using the O-rings to stop it falling out. Moving on to the right hand side bottom bracket cup. This is the side with a weird left hand thread, meaning it screws in backwards to normal, so to tighten it you screw it anti-clockwise. Compared to the left hand side, I'm feeling a bit more drag on this side. Not sure why, it could be to do with the sleeve inside, so it's a little bit more force required to when you just slide in by hand. But that's why it's important to screw it in by hand. You get a feel for what's going on with a thread and make sure you're not cross threading it or doing something weird damaging the bottom bracket or the bike frame. One thing I should really consider investing in is one of those really nice bottom bracket socket tools, so you can get a torque wrench on the end of it. Also means you can ratchet the bottom bracket in rather than taking the tool on and off constantly. And as you can see, my bottom bracket spanner is pretty cheap and pretty ancient. I think I bought this in 2003. Finally, once the bottom bracket is home and butted up against the bottom bracket shell, we can torque this up by hand to about FT, which is about 35 to 50 Nm by guess. Once we're happy it's all snugged down and looking good, we can wipe away any excess grease and move on to the next part of the Cotic BC Max build, which will be coming very soon because I've managed to get some parts. I've got a fork, I've got a set of wheels, I've got some tyres, and I've got a seat post, and I need to get a stem. That's next on my shopping list. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you again in part 5 of the Cotic Beefy Max build. Cheers!